Welcome back to the channel. Today I will be making brioche bread, and it's going to be a cold fermented brioche bread. I will show you how to mix your ingredients, how to work the dough, how to add the butter, and also how to cut and shape the dough. So what I have here are my ingredients, and they are egg, milk, butter, fine sea salt, and sugar. I also have my flour blend, which is a blend of 3/5 all-purpose flour and 2/5 of strong bread flour. I also have a completely newly put together starter. So this starter is just 6 days old, and it's just now ready to be used in baking. So if I smell this, it's very gentle. It has a light sourness to it, but it's not going to completely take over the bread with its tanginess. So this is the first time I'm using this one, and it'll be very interesting. Since it's not that sour, I'm going to hold back on the salt a little bit. So this is going to be a sweeter bread. I also have my tools, which is a wooden spoon, a sift, and my scrapers, as well as my dough cutter. I'll start by adding my sourdough starter to the wet ingredients. Make sure you distribute the starter throughout the wet ingredients for an even fermentation. We'll also add the sugar, but we'll wait with the salt for later. We'll also wait with the butter for later. So I'm going to sift my flour mixture down into the wet ingredients. So what I'm going to do is bring this together and make sure that the wet ingredients are mixed with the dry ingredients. And then I'm going to put it away for 30 minutes to self-melt. So the flour will strengthen itself just by resting with the wet ingredients. That gives us a little bit of a head start when it comes to working the dough. So just make sure all of the flour is mixed with the wet. There we go. That's enough. Just gather your dough in the center of the bowl. This will now be resting for 30 minutes and we'll come back. It's now time to get this dough together. It's been resting by itself for about 30 minutes and we'll see. So as you can see, it has a bare minimum of strength to it by just pulling on it. So that's a good start. So I'm going to start working it inside the bowl. So what I do is that I grab onto the dough and pinching it between my thumb and fingers. And then pulling on it. This will then strengthen the gluten and develop the gluten. So it's the strength of the gluten fibers that determines how much gas the dough can hold. And it's important to build that strength before we add the butter. So as you can see, the dough comes off the bowl in one piece. Then we'll transfer it onto our table. So here, look at this. I just love this. As you can see, I'm slamming the tail of the dough into the table and pulling on it and folding it. Onto itself. The brioche dough is a very rich dough. It has all that egg, milk, and all that butter. It makes almost an entire meal. And you can definitely replace this with your cinnamon bun, because this is almost like a dessert, or a fika, as we would say in Swedish. So as you can see, the dough has already changed. It has a shine to it, and it holds together. Much better. It comes off my fingers quite easily. Make sure you keep your dough together. And continue working it. You can always try the dough, the strength of the dough, by pulling on it. It doesn't have the strength that we're looking for yet. So there we go. It has a bit of strength. I will start adding the butter. So this butter is about room temperature. Get some butter out there onto the dough, spread it out, and keep working with the same technique. As you can tell, the butter makes the dough break down, but just continue working it. As you can see, the dough happily absorbs that butter. And it's time to add some more. I can feel the dough turning to silk. It has a very pleasant texture. We need more butter. need a little bit more butter. Another spoonful. I need a more sturdy table. See how nicely the dough comes together? You see that shine to it? That's when we're going to add the salt. See, it comes off my fingers. Just spread your salt out a little bit and fold bits and pieces so the salt sticks to the dough rather than creating a pocket. Work it with the same method. Can still feel a little bit of salt grains, so it needs a little bit more work. There we go. Okay, now we cannot leave this dough like this in the bowl to ferment, so we gotta get some shape to it. We gotta get that top. So just get your dough together and then just flap it like that, and you see that skin forming. And just spin it on the table. You can see those air pockets filling the dough. That makes it look alive, which it is. It is alive. It is also wild. Okay, so we're going to get this dough into our bowl. And this is now the top side. We're going to let this ferment. It's now early afternoon, and I'm going to leave it in a chilled room for 12, 13, maybe 14 hours. So I'll be up early to reinforce the strength and then divide and shape it. So cover this with a plastic to prevent it from drying out, and I will see you early in the morning. It's now the morning after, and it's time to check on our brioche dough that's been fermenting overnight. So as you can see, the dough is doming, and it means the energy is now high, so there's a lot of activity in the dough, and it's now time to reinforce that strength that we put into the dough by working it. So I'm going to use a little bit of flour. And my scraper to release the dough from the bowl. And I'm going to pick my dough up and let it stretch. Let it pass through your fingers, and that's enough. I can already feel that strength in the dough. It's back there. Okay, so now this has to relax and ferment a little bit more before we can get it onto the table and divide it and shape it. So we'll put this aside until we're sure that it has doubled in size and there's a lot more bubbles happening. Our dough has now had enough time to ferment and relax. So it's time to get it onto the table to divide and give it a little bit of a shape. So I'm likely going to flour the table and gently flour the dough. Use my scraper to release the dough from the bowl. And remember, our top is up here, and we're going to turn it top side down. So this is the sticky side, and just gently flour it. Push on it to release a little bit of the gases. And make a rectangle. going to fold the bottom side of it onto the middle. Just gently push down. Then we're going to take the top side and gently push down. So turn it upside down. So now, okay. So for our tin loaf, I'm looking for 400 grams. It's 388. Just gonna transfer a small piece onto the sticky side and then just seal that. So this is the correct amount. Just give it a little bit of a shape like that. Just tuck it in like this and leave it to rest. So what I'm looking for here is a normal size brioche bun for a burger, and that'll be about 100 grams. That's too much. So you can always transfer the dough onto the sticky sides. As long as you seal the dough like that and use your scraper and leave that to rest. So here I'm looking for 2 buns for a breakfast. That's a little bit too much. On there. So always keep your top on top. And if you need, just gently flour. And now leave that to rest. So you can always stretch the top like this and seal it. Stretch and seal it. And then use your scraper and seal the end. So you always have the top side up, so you know where you can grab onto the dough. Just gently flour. And leave them to rest. Alright, so it's now time to give our brioche dough its final shape. It has had enough time to relax. Remember, we started with the big loaf and then we'll continue with the smaller buns. Clean scraper and gently flour your table. Always use your scraper to lift your dough. Remember, top side Now, looking for a triangle. Take the top of the triangle, pull on it and push down into the middle. Take the new ends and push down into the middle. Now take the bottoms and fold in. So you stretch and fold. Now turn, take the new top into the middle and then fold the ends in onto themselves. Go and turn it. Now drag it on the table just to create that tension. This now goes into the tin loaf. Top side up. Use your scraper and just tuck the sides in. To make sure you keep that tension. So our burger bun, just keep a little bit of flour onto the side. Now you want to make a bowl shape with your hand and just coop your fingers more and more just to create that shape on the bottom here, and keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, and then seal that tension. If you need, use a little bit of flour. And there you have your brioche bun. It goes onto the parchment paper to proof. The same shape to start with for the breakfast buns. Scoop your fingers more and more. Now we'll take a part off and leave that. Just use a little bit of flour if it's too sticky. And create that tension. There we go. So what I'm doing now is I'm using the scissor to cut a hole. And then use your scraper and place it in the hole, and then it goes into the container. Let's do it again. Just keep a little bit of flour close by. Use your scraper. Lift your dough. Just coop your hand and fingers and create that tension. And use your finger to cut a piece off. There we go. So there you have your bowl. all inside the cut. This one goes into the container. There we go. So these ones are now ready to proof and double in size, and then we're going to bake them. It's now time to bake our brioche that's been proving for a few hours. Before we bake it, I'm going to glaze it, and I prepared an egg wash here. This is an egg with salt that's been sitting by the stove for a couple of hours. So be generous with the egg wash, because it's this egg that's going to make that chestnut color that's typical for the brioche bread. Okay, so now we're ready to bake. So I preheated my oven to 220 degrees centigrade, and I'll be baking this medium loaf for 30 minutes, the smallest bun for 18 minutes, and the medium-sized breakfast bun for 25 minutes. Take a look at that. That is just heavenly. Enjoy one of those for breakfast with a little bit of butter or cream cheese. Slice this one and put a patty between, some cheese, fresh tomato. Well, it speaks for itself.